This video goes over the budget and bills section of the budget and bills spreadsheet template. To follow along, if you haven't already, you'll need to enable scripts, and you can learn more about that on the Enabling Scripts video, also on the YouTube playlist. So the first thing we're going to do is look at our budget. So you can either click at the index here or just go down to the bottom and find Budget Setup. And this is where you can play with your budget. You can add your income, your net income after taxes, so that you can, simulate what you have in your checkbook. And I would say keep this at a monthly basis, even if your paycheck is more frequent. That can be split up later, and I'll show you that in a bit. You can also add your expenses, and there's a couple different kinds of expenses here. There are expenses that come out in your checkbook, such as rent, electricity, natural gas, etc., and amounts for those. And there are things that you might just want to budget for. So, for example, you might want to budget about $400 for groceries. The groceries aren't going to come out of your checkbook exactly as one expense, but your rent will. And so anything that'll come out of your checkbook that you'll want to track in your bills specifically, you can checkbox next to it, and this will allow you to add them to your bill settings later. So you can, let's say we want to also add sewer, and sewer is something that's going to come out as a bill. I will add that. You can also change the descriptions of these. So if it's a specific electricity company or mortgage company or whatever, you can change these descriptions so it makes more sense to you. You can also do that later. You can change these categories. Essentially anything in here is changeable. And once you pull in everything, let's also add, let's say, $300 per month for dining out. What this is doing is essentially taking a list of well-known typical expenses and allowing you to plug them in and play with the budget. You can also add some miscellaneous ones down here. And as you plug them in, the step 3 will show you how your budget is ironing out, whether it's balanced, the percentage of income it's being used, and your top expenses. And then down here, kind of what it looks like in terms of how much you're spending and what category is the greatest. Let's just say, let's just put a big number here. You can see if you are over your budget, this is going to kind of light up and let you know that you're not quite there. And it'll tell you the amount to find to become balanced, and then you can work that out in your budget. The idea being that at the end of the day, you want your budget to be balanced. You don't want to be spending more than you have. And then once you get this the way you want to, you're going to go to this last step, and you're going to implement this budget. So again, anything that you've checkboxed here is going to show up over here. You got the 2 salaries that you checkboxed and all the expenses you checkboxed. And now let's send this to the bill settings. And just a warning here, once you click this button, everything in bill settings you'll see here is empty now. But if there were things there, doing this will replace everything there. So I'm going to click on that button. You see that script running. It's finished. Now if I go over here, I can see those things moved over here. All right. If you had made better descriptions in the budget itself, that's what would be moved here, but you can also edit once they're here. So as we talked about, salaries aren't usually or often monthly, so this is your opportunity to split them out. So let's say, actually, let's put this, so it's $3,000 a month is what I said net, but I know I get paid every 2 weeks, so I might do $1,500 and then create a schedule. So this schedule is every 2 weeks, starting on, let's say, tomorrow. Leave the end date blank if it doesn't actually end. and you can designate this gets automatically deposited. This makes a difference later when you're actually completing your bills. And then let's say salary one was one time a month, and also starting, let's say, the 1st. Currently it's scheduling everything for this month because I haven't started, declared a start date, but let's just keep that start date here. And this is a starting bank account balance. So let's say you had, I don't know, $1,850. Up here is later when you look at your bills, your bill log, it'll show amounts in green, orange, or red. This is just designating what you want to see here. So for now I'll stay, if it's greater than 2,000, it'll be green. If it's less than 1,000, it'll be red, and anything else will be orange. Finally, we have expenses. And this is where you'll essentially say how often they occur. So that rent is once a month. It's automatic. It comes out on, let's say, I don't know, usually the 1st of the month. Electricity, once a month. Comes out, let's say, the 12th. And I'll just fill these in. And actually, I might just... most of these things are once a month. Actually, pretty much all of those are once a month. So let's just put in random days here just to create the example. Anywhere there's a date field, by the way, you can double click and it'll add a date. It'll bring up this calendar to add a date. And then let's just say electricity I have to pay manually, gas I have to pay manually, water comes out automatically, sewer, internet, cell phone, my car, insurance, my credit card I have to pay manually, student loan is automatic, and let's say savings. So what I've done here is created schedules that will automatically, based on the schedule you've defined, create items for each of these things every month. Okay, so now that we have the settings set up, let's go to the bill log. And right now it's blank because we haven't added anything yet. And you'll notice sometimes in the top of the screen you'll see a white information button and information about what to do. So this is saying use the plus button to create the first month since we don't have any yet. So here's that plus button, and when you click it, it's going to add a month full of data. If you make a mistake and you need to remove a month at a time, you can hit the delete button. So we're going to go ahead and create this. It's running the script again, and it's creating the month of November because that's what I designated it to start with. And it says it's complete and it was successful. So you'll see here it starts with the initial balance we said we were going to start with, and it calculates the ending balance based on whatever you have input here. And for now, what we have input here are all the scheduled bills and income that we had designated. You'll notice here that those every 2-week salaries showed up here as 2 items because I changed it to, instead of $3,000 a month, $1,500 every 2 weeks. There's 2 weeks in November where I would have gotten paid based on the starting date I selected. You also notice that each transaction here has a number next to it. These are unique IDs that will essentially let you track back to things when you go to do reconciliation. It tells you a little bit about how you've spent for the month. Only 61% of your income, which is great. It gives you the balance per day. So some days you get income, some days you have expenses, some days you have both. That's just the difference for that day. And then a running total. And you'll notice here that everything's in green. But if I change this setting back here to everything greater than, let's say, 4,000. If it was greater than 4,000, I want it to be green. If it's less than 1,000, I want it to be red. Or I guess, yeah. So let's go back here. Now things that are, not above 4,000 are in orange as defined. So it just gives you a visual indication as to whether your running balance is going to go too low. So once you add the month, it's going to pull in everything that's scheduled, but you can make changes once it's here. You can say, oh, you know what, I don't have I'm not going to contribute to savings. You're going to take that out and it's gone. You can change the amount. So natural gas this month maybe was only $90. And essentially, once that's created, you can edit things, add things. These are the scheduled expenses, the things that come in via your schedules that you just created. Here's unscheduled. It doesn't really matter where you put them. You could put them in either place. Just know that when you create the month, this is going to be filled with the scheduled items, and then everything after that added is fine. You can also add additional income, like miscellaneous checks that you received during the month, etc. And it'll also indicate here the things that are automatic. You can then see visually the things that you haven't paid that are manual. So I said in the last screen that the credit card payment's not automatic. It's due on the 11th. Maybe I don't pay it on the 11th. Maybe I pay it on the 10th. So I'm gonna, here's the due date. Here's the paid date. I'm going to double click on this. Let's say I paid it on the 10th. Now that highlight's gone and it's good to go. It also tells you up here the next month that you're set to add. It tells you how much your total income, expenses, and balance is, how many things you have left to pay, and that's based on things that are manually done. And of course, you can make any notes you want. Let's say November's coming to an end and I want to get started planning for December. And let's say for December, I've added a new, camper payment. I bought a camper, and that's $300 a month. And it's going to start in December on, let's say, the 4th. It's going to come out automatically. So you notice over here, this isn't December, but that's not going to add here because it's, it only shows up when I generate the next month. So let's go ahead and generate December by clicking add the next month. So that script is running again, and it's created for December, and it's got your new income here. It's got all the things here. Notice this new camper one in sequence, automatic $300. And since it was scheduled within the month of December, it'll show up. And just to point out, the most recent month shows up at the top here, but if you scroll down, here's November. And so it's never lost, it's just shifting down, so you don't have to scroll down when you first open the spreadsheet. And it tells you this, here's the information. Most recent month is at the top. What else can I say? Like I pointed out in the overview video, there's these help icons. If you hover over any of them, it'll give you a sense of what that field means. It's also the description up here about everything. Let's go ahead and let's click the delete last month just to show you how that works. It removed December. Now November is the only thing that's left. And let's say, I made a mistake and I want to add something else in here, or let's say I want to remove this camper. We decided not to get it. So I'm going to unclick that. Now if I go back here and hit add the next month, it'll add December again, and the camper is no longer there. I think that pretty much concludes the basic information about how to use the bill settings and the bill log. If you have any questions or any issues, you can email us, and on to the next video.